Everyone. Welcome to the Energy Storage Market Series. My name is Erez Dolev, and I'm Managing Director here at RENVU. Today, we're going to be hearing from Dino Pineda and John Berg. Both are Sales and Business Development at Tigo, and Greg Smith, Global Director of Learning. And we'll talk about Tigo optimizers, inverters, and energy storage solutions. Before we dive in and while we're waiting for more people to join, I'd like to give a little background on RENVU as well as some of the products and services we offer. RENVU is a US-based solar equipment distributor. We've been in the industry for over a decade, and we currently have fulfillment facilities in California, New Jersey, and Texas. Our sales staff all have background within engineering or solar installation to provide you with the best sales services. I want to spotlight a few products. We'll share the links in the chat. We carry the whole range of SolarC products, including the SolarC 12K EMP and the 15K EMP. We pair those with a home grid stacked series, which are priced well and easy to install. There are several gift card offers when you're buying SolarC inverters and home grid batteries. Let us know if you need any details about those. We recently added Lumin Smart Panel to our portfolio. This is the best way to convert the home for a hybrid consumption without the need to upgrade the main panel or other critical loads panel. It's easy to install and gives you the full remote control over all the loads and enables you to set rules. We had a webinar recently with which you can find the recording on our YouTube channel. If you want to learn more about those, for people that are interested, we're offering a 500 gift card when buying the SolarC 15K and Lumin Smart Panel. With Enphase, we have great pricing, which I'll show in the next few slides. We're offering a clearance pricing on the Encharge 10T ESS as well. And this week we are giving a free trunk cable when you're buying microinverters. Also from Q-Sales, we have a unique ESS package on the clearance page. There's 7.6 kilowatt inverters, as well as auto transformers and 18.9 kilowatt hour battery bank with discounts of more than $4,000 this week. We carry the full commercial portfolio of NLX Way, the EV chargers. If you're looking to add to your project's EV chargers, this is a great brand to consider. And here our commercial price list for large volume options and our upcoming offerings of solar modules. We're sharing in the chat a link to this page. It's a good one to bookmark. We update it regularly so you can stay on top of the latest pricing and modules that are available in the market. And here another tab on the same file that you will see the Enphase and batteries options. I'll take a minute to also mention the Bleaky residential carport. This is a great way to expand existing solar systems or an alternative solution where you cannot install solar on the roof. Shown here is the two-car carport. There is also the option for a tandem solution with shared columns, so you can connect multiple of those when you need the carport for more than two cars. It's designed to be assembled by a crew of two. It doesn't require any specialized or heavy machinery to install. This is a solar structure, so it's eligible for the 30% ITC and extra 10% for the US-made products. Carport is supplied with an iron reach system and under panel clamp, sorry, so it accepts any solar module and inverter you want. When combined with a Bleaky EPDM T-gasket, the surface become watertight. Let's see, the design is straightforward. It's 18 feet wide, 18 feet deep, and has a roof that can accept somewhere between 22 feet wide and 22 feet up. Solar panels that can fit 24 modules, which is a little bit more than 9 kilowatt hour with current power ratings. There is a 3D model on the Bleakier website if you want to take a look at it. One last item to go over before we get started is our solar design and quote tool. You'll find it at the top of our homepage on renvu.com. You can generate as many quotes as you need in a couple minutes without the need to wait for a sales engineer, and it's available 24 hours. First, you select the system type and the components you would like to see on your quote, then choose your panel. Next, you will configure your racking system from a wide range of options. I'll select the metal tilted roof here. Then I'll create 2 arrays. First array, I will put 10 modules in portrait and 7 modules in landscape. You can see on the left how things are changing as I'm selecting things. And then second array, I will put 10 modules in landscape. Then I can select the type of rails. I'll choose black rails, black lamps. Sometimes you have more options for roof attachments. Depends on the roof type you selected. In this case, we're selling S5 for metal roofs. I'll change the span to 6 feet. The system creates a sketch of the array. Then next step, you will choose your inverter and also energy storage options if you like. On the left side, you will see the bill of materials building up, and when you're logged into your account, prices changes as you edit your system configuration. This is a great way to compare the cost of different options in real time. Our team updates this tool constantly with the latest solar components and pricing currently available in the market. Select here the Tigo optimizers, also act as a rapid shutdown and module level monitoring. On the last selection page, you can add a couple of spare modules if you need, balance of systems, disconnect, and EV chargers. You can add a Lumin Smart panel, which saves the need to replacing the main panel or adding critical load panel, and EV chargers as well. And then at the end, you can save the quote to your account and get a quote to your email. You can see here all the balance, the bill of material. You can edit it. You can send a PDF to yourself or print it or order it if you want. I encourage you to try this tool. It's nice and really quick to get a quote and design for any systems. 4 minutes. Okay, if you have any questions about these products or about Tigo while Dino, John, and Greg are presenting, please feel free to ask in the Q&A section, and we will get to the questions at the end of the webinar during the Q&A session. You can also email our sales team at info@renvu.com for more information and pricing. This webinar is being recorded, and we will send you a link in a follow-up email. We also have recordings of previous webinars on the RENVU YouTube channel. Without further ado, I will hand it over to Dino, John, and Greg.
Thank you, Aris. Appreciate the introduction. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're calling from today. We're going to be going over some high-level information about the different products, service that Tigo offers. Myself and John will take turns going over some slides here, and then after that, we'll also have Greg go over some scenarios, situations that you might have been dealing with or ran into at one point. And just like Eric said, when those questions starts to come up, then go ahead and start typing them. I will go ahead and share my screen, go over these slides. And just to confirm, should have RENVU titled EI, that's Energy Intelligence, Residential Solar Solution, Tigo offers. Just to make sure everybody's aware, Tigo has been founded in Silicon Valley here in California, Campbell, California, right next to San Jose, back in 2007. Leader in module level power electronics. We provide full energy storage solution also along the way, which we'll be touching upon today. And tens of millions of these MLPs are deployed across all 7 continents. Yes, even Antarctica, which right there at the bottom of the screen. Yeah, these leaves out there, these are, indicating that we are in these different locations, with our MLPs. Over a gigawatt of daily PV production monitored at module level. And we, of course, do different projects, right? From residential, commercial, and of course, even utility scale. The EI residential solar solution. We start off with the Tigo optimizers. In a couple slides, we'll be talking about the different flavors, the different types of, Tigo MLPs that we have. But basically at this point, it's supposed to maximize your production, meet rapid shutdown codes, and monitor each module. It just really depends on what you're trying to achieve on the different projects that you have. We, of course, provide an EI inverter, a hybrid inverter, different sizes from 3.8, 7.6, 11.4 kilowatts, 2-to-1 DC to AC ratio. We'll talk further about that in a couple of slides. And with a 50 volt starting voltage, wakes up early, stays on late at night. Definitely a workhorse. EI battery, of course, is something that we're also providing because now, depending on where you're at, of course, I'm here in California, people, install the inverter, and now they're like, hey, with net metering 3.0, may be a great idea to go ahead and also include a battery. 10 to 40 kilowatt hour modular system, reliable lithium iron phosphate chemistry is where we went with. And of course, the different types of modes depending on where you're at. Of course, in California, time of use, that is definitely something that we're trying to take care of because very expensive rates, along the way. And then, of course, if you are going to add a battery to this installation, there is a need for that automatic transfer switch, the ATS. And it does come in a 50 or 200 amp. Just really depends if you're trying to back up partial at this point or a whole home backup with your setup when utilizing our different products up here. And I always say, kind of wrap that in a bow with a Tigo Energy Intelligence, the monitoring, because at the end of the day, people need to know that, hey, these products are working, right? And you are able to do that in an open, app, API, to be able to see, hey, optimizer is working properly, along with the inverter down the line, with the battery and the transfer switch. Let's talk about the different flavors or the different types of MLP that we have at this point. I'm going to go right to left. Myself, when I think of Tigo, and this was a couple of years back, I always think of Tigo's known for rapid shutdown, and that was I'm pretty sure the first product that we've been offering, for quite some time. And that's necessary, depending on the type of project you have. So therefore, the TS4AF, we also have the 2F that is for the use of rapid shutdown. And so therefore, that enhanced safety and meet electrical code requirements for rooftop solar. But now if you say, hey, how about I also want to go ahead and see the performance. Sure, we have the TS4AS, which provides the rapid shutdown, now also the monitoring. Well, how about the trifecta? The TS4AO, that is the one that does every single one of what we just mentioned, the rapid shutdown, along with the monitoring, and of course, the optimization. Once again, just really depends on the project that you're working on but the optimization, of course, mostly not commercial, but I meant to say residential because of some shading along the way. So that is a product that's definitely used every single time or most of the time, for our residential. Some are now becoming more towards the commercial side of things, but once again, mostly for the residential. And it just really depends on what you're needing at this point. I believe I'm going to go ahead and kick it off for now with John for him to talk about the diagram of our Tigo solutions.
Thanks, Dino. Hi, everybody. John Berg here. So what you're seeing right now is this is an illustrative diagram of our Tigo solution, our EI solution. So here at Tigo, basically we take care of everything from the module. So we don't manufacture any modules, but from the module to the grid. So everything in between, we are addressing with a full-scale solution. So here you see the solar modules on the roof. And then you can see right here in the diagram on the roof, there's a little blow up section here, and it shows the MLPE or Tigo optimizer, or Tigo MLPE. Doesn't necessarily need to be an optimizer, but we do have solutions that allow you to monitor the system without using optimization, or you can elect to use optimization. Here in North America, by and large, everybody uses, for the most part, our optimizer solution because it gives a little bit better performance and also delivers monitoring. So the MLPE can go ahead and go on the roof. There's two methods to attach it. So you can, probably those of you that are familiar with Enphase or other installation techniques, you can mount it to the rail. But what makes our solution really unique is it's got two metal teeth on the top of the MLPE, and you can actually slide it and it'll grip onto the side of a frame of a module. And so that takes less than 10 seconds to do. So in terms of your installers or your installation times, if you're looking for kind of a high-speed, low-drag solution, you can go ahead and snap these MLPEs onto any module frame, and it'll stay on there. And then you go ahead and connect those in series to the other modules. And then you go ahead and connect those into your home run and bring it back to our inverters. So here you could see on the side of the house, you have a battery. And next to the battery here, you have our inverter. And then depending on what type of battery or backup solution, as we all know here, especially in California with NEM3, batteries are becoming really important in terms of the design. So we're seeing higher and higher attach rates. So assuming you have a battery, it goes into the inverter, and then you also have your transfer switch here, which we do make available to you. So we have a 50 amp and a 200 amp transfer switch. So that's for selected loads and full home backup. And then that gets connected here into the meter and grid. So you're looking at a kind of a one-stop shop solution for everything. Again, not the module, but from the module all the way to the grid, you can use our EI solution. It's a very eloquent and priced correctly and very easy to design. We also have EI software, energy management software. So you'll have access to the portal, and you'll be able to drill down and do a lot of qualitative analysis on your sites that you install. Dino, you want to go to the next slide, please? So I'm going to break down the solution on the roof in a little bit more detail. So for some of you out there that are maybe doing your own systems, whether you're a do-it-yourselfer or you're an installer or an integrator, or if you're a designer, this is gets a little bit down into the nuts and bolts here. So here's the Tigo TS4 unit here. And again, we have optimization, monitoring, and we also have rapid shutdown. That connects here to the back of the module. Then we have a Tigo access point, or what we call TAP. So the TAP sends and receives signals to and from the Tigo TS4 via wireless mesh network. So the TAP is required to create that wireless mesh network on the roof. It's going to go ahead and connect to all the MLPEs, and they're going to be talking to one another. And it's going to be connected to that TAP. And that TAP is going to go ahead and come on down here. We're going to want that wired in with an RS-485 shielded cable. That's a COM cable. It's widely available at multiple locations online, or you can talk to your RENVU rep. and it comes down here through the home run, and that gets wired in directly into the CCA, which is a data logger. It's a Cloud Connect Advanced. It's a very robust unit. It's actually integrated inside of our EI inverter solution. So it's going to give you wireless cloud connectivity, and it's going to give you a very robust monitoring solution. It's going to go ahead and report back to our Energy Intelligence EI app. So you're going to be able to view all the performance aspects of your system, and also all the components down to the module level. So it's a really eloquent solution, and it's easy. And what makes our solution unique is what we're seeing out there is our installation partners are able to get their full system scanned and commissioned in less than 10 minutes. And that depends, that timing really depends on how trained your installers are. So we recommend them that they go to the EI Tigo Academy. And so once they go to the academy and get their training, you'll see your install and especially your commissioning times go down to that sub 10-minute mark. And that's where we want to get your installers doing, because it saves time. And nobody wants to be sitting on a site for an hour and a half waiting for customer support to help you commission a system. Dino, can we go to the next slide, please? So just getting you a little bit familiar with our products here. So this is our EI inverter solution. So we have a 3.8, 7.6, and 11.4 kilowatt model. Again, what makes our inverter solution unique is you can do a 2-to-1 DC AC ratio. So that means that you can have a 3.8 kilowatt system, 3.8 kilowatt inverter, and you can have 7 kilowatts up on the roof, thereabouts, and you can invert that back into the grid, and you can also invert that into a battery. It can actually store into the battery direct DC to DC before it inverts. So it's a really unique solution. It's got multiple MPPTs. That's maximum power point tracking. It's got a max output current, 16 amp for the 3.8, 32 amp for the 7.6, and 48 amp respectively for the 11.4. It's got a 50 volt starting voltage. That means these systems are going to wake up earlier each day, and they're going to turn off later on each night. It's going to give you more of a wide range of solar harvest. And these are lightweight units. So they're 32 pounds and 45 pounds respectively. They come with built-in Wi-Fi. And once you grab the Wi-Fi signal, the connection's very robust using our Tigo access point and our CCA. Dino, next slide, please. This is our EI battery. So it comes in a 10 kilowatt cabinet or 9.9 kilowatt hour. So you can have up to 39.6 kilowatt hours of storage capacity. So you can stack these up to 4. Has 5 kilowatt to 10 kilowatt of continuous output capacity. As Dino mentioned earlier, it's LFP battery chemistry, NEMA A4 indoor-outdoor rated. So you can do partial or whole home backup on these. It does have load shifting, so time of use, self-consumption, and backup. These are modular and scalable, and has a warranty of 11 years. Dino? And these are our ATSs, or automatic transfer switches. So we have a 50 amp partial home backup transfer switch and a 200 amp whole home backup transfer switch. And these have a 120 or 240 split phase, and they're warranted for 11 years. These will be available and on the site at RENVU here in the near future. Just wanted to get you somewhat familiar with some of our EI product offerings. Dino?
All right. Thank you, John. Take over for now. Now we're going to talk about the Rate Saver battery solution. We have different options. Once again, maybe we're talking a little bit about, California with the net metering 3.0 that just happened, April. And so with that being said, we're providing solutions to depending on what the customer is looking for to achieve. All right, having issues here. There we go. So inverters and breaker sizes. A little bit of information here for each. We have the 3.8, 7.6, excuse me, and 11.4. John had mentioned earlier regarding about the 2-to-1 the max PV array capacity. So therefore, you could actually go bigger, right, with a PV system, depending on which inverter you have, and that's great. Without a doubt, if you are trying to have a bigger system for your PV along the way, depending on, once again, what the customer is trying to achieve. Maximum of batteries, number of batteries along the way. And then, of course, you have the battery energy capacity along with the max battery continuous power. The different types of solutions. Not to highlight the Tigo Rate Saver, everybody, of course, when they say, well, I'm going to go solar now, I'm going to add a battery. I mean, at the end of the day, they're looking at the cost, right? Well, what is this going to cost me? Well, the Tigo Rate Saver tends to be the most popular one, I would say, at least, once again, here in California, because it's an opportunity for them to be able to say, hey, you know what? I do have a battery. What I'm trying to achieve with this battery, with this rate saver, having that one battery is use that battery to offset the most expensive time of the day, the time of use. So that afternoon time when it is fairly expensive. I mean, I'm here in Northern California, PG&E, but imagine if you're in Southern California and having to deal with San Diego or even in LA area. Now this is an opportunity for you to use this battery to offset that really expensive rates. Now, caveat, which I believe we'll mention that on the next slide, the Tigo Rate Saver doesn't have that backup capability. Now, if you want that backup capability, you would then move towards the Tigo Select Backup, total of 2 batteries, or you go with the Tigo Full Backup. And as you can see in the picture, obviously, along with the transfer switch, the 200 volt transfer switch for the Tigo Full Backup. Once again, it goes back to what the customer is trying to achieve. But of course, it's really important to set the expectation. Tigo Rate Saver, kind of have that bold there, where it says typical backup loads. It's not covered, because what you're trying to achieve there for the customer is taking care of the time of use. That isn't, it is possible to do that with the Tigo Rate Saver. But what we're doing here, if the installer says, hey, with the Tigo Rate Saver, this is what it's supposed to do, we're actually going to have the customer check off, and they are aware of what they're signing up for. Because at the end of the day, we don't want them coming back and said, oh, wow, I was under the impression, or I thought. Well, unfortunately, that was not the case. But if they go with the Tigo Select Backup, now they are able to cover a couple of different things that's important to them. The refrigerator, so the food doesn't go bad, right? Wi-Fi, the TV, just in case something crazy is happening. And yes, California, Southern California, with the storm, the typhoons, and maybe even an earthquake or whatever may be the case, right? Need to see what's going on out there. So therefore, they have that backup, loads covered. Or if you say, hey, you know what? Money's not really an object, or I'm not worried too much about that, but I want to make sure my home is fully back up. Now you go with 3 or possibly more, batteries. So that way you're covered with everything that you want to, inside your home. Going to kick it back to John here. He's going to wrap up and talk about the EI monitoring solution.
Thanks, Dino. So this is our EI monitoring portal, and this is our monitoring solution here. So what makes this unique is, a lot of monitoring portals will show you module view. They'll also show you power flow, but those power flows are pulled information every They're intervaled information where we actually show you a real-time snapshot of each main component. Makes it unique. You can drill down and see exactly what modules are doing. So you can check voltage and amperage, and you can do some extensive troubleshooting off-site. So that makes it really attractive. Our commercial customers absolutely love this because of how expensive truck rolls are. But as we all know, residentially, truck rolls have not gotten cheaper. So the power flow is a really important feature of our EI software. We also have metrics to show daily and lifetime performance. And again, a lot of that micro data gets in there through our data loggers, so you guys can really sink your teeth into what the system's doing. What's also really unique, actually exclusive with Tigo, is we have a reclaimed energy bar on the top of our graphs. So if you look here at the number 4 here on the screen, showing the example on the laptop, you can see the gray bars are the energy production. And then there's green tips right here. And so those green tips actually monetize the ROI that the optimizers are doing. So once the optimizers kick in, it goes ahead and tracks those extra watts that the system's harvesting, and it puts it on display right there for the homeowner. Or if you're the system owner, you can see exactly what your system's doing to optimize the available energy. This is a really unique feature and a keystone for talking at the kitchen table when you're talking about differentiating your product offering among other companies that you might be going up against. So the reclaimed energy is a really unique part of our portal and a unique part of our MLPE offerings, which integrate into our EI solution. Dino, next slide, please. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Tigo Energy Intelligence benefits. So what we want to do is we want to maximize your fleet uptime. So what that means is we want to give real-time feedback. We want to give you alerts. We want to make sure that you know that there could be a performance or safety issue on site, so that you can go ahead and troubleshoot and figure out what's going on. We want to give you as much information as humanly possible before you roll a truck out, so that you know maybe there's a subset of system arrays that are having an issue, or even down to the module itself. And then that way you know exactly where to go when you get on site. And so it's going to minimize the time on the roof. So this all factors into your O&M cost. So having our EI software solution and the monitoring portal, you're going to be able to detect system level, string level, module level, as I mentioned. But early diagnosis will alert to problems before they happen. So you're going to save money with fewer truck rolls. This all goes to keeping your CSAT high. We all want to take care of our customers. So having visibility to all sites from one spot, it's just a key point of what we offer with our EI monitoring solution. We're bringing all the needed data to the forefront, and we're allowing you to pre-analyze important status. So we actually have advanced filtering that you'll get trained on once you go through our EI Academy, and you can view all the insights at a glance. It's going to save you time. It's going to simplify your next decisions so that you can drill down to a deeper analysis point. Again, all this being done off-site. Our software is going to automatically elevate critical sites. It's going to allow you to have a spotlight on commonly occurring faults. It's going to immediately draw attention to critically affected sites, and it's going to lower your response time. It's also from a fleet-wide standpoint, you're going to be able to spot tactical trends and occurring faults. It's really unique because we're trying to give you all the information that's available so that you can make a decision quickly. And you can easily group all the sites. So if you're offering third-party financing or leasing or cash, you can silo those sites, and so you can quickly delve into the way that the sites are categorized and organized. So it's a really unique feature with our EI software solution. Dino, next slide, please. We're a leader worldwide here in the solar industry. We have over 60,000 sites in 60 plus countries. We have over 2.5 terawatt hours monitored. We have over 20,000 equipment types that we're paired with. So because we have all these data points, we collate all those data points, and we try to drive better, more relevant data to you, so that you can make better decisions and quick decisions, because we all know time is money. Dino? So this is where you go for more information, and we are going to hand it over to Greg Smith to kind of go over some of these points. But we have a support and resource center. We have our data sheets, our website, tigoenergy.com, and then also we have our sales contacts. And we really highly recommend getting trained up. We have one of the best trainers in the entire industry, that's worldwide, and Greg Smith happens to be here on the call. But we recommend getting trained, and he's here to help. We're all here to help you guys, and we're here to help you be successful in solar. So thank you very much.
I think
Take it
you're
away.
muted,
Yep.
Greg.
Got the mute
Yes.
button.
Right.
So I guess they didn't get my my Teams message. So I have my own presentation, I guess, since my stuff is a lot more fun than all this sales stuff, right? Like, who cares about that? So let me share my screen. I'm just going to share it all because I hate having to figure out which one is. Can you guys see my screen? Yeah, no, we good?
Yes.
We can see it.
Okay, great. So you can see here. Well, sorry, I know, so unprofessional here. Here we go. All right, so very quick, we're going to go over some of the things to help you be successful with our product, particularly the TS4, right? So we can wrap up John and Dino's section in very short terms, right? Like, we've been doing this module level stuff a long time. Yeah, we recently got into the energy storage business, but the product is solid. We have people that are trained up on it to help you with pre-sales design and post-sales support. Okay, I've trained all of them. They are good to go. I've been doing this since 2008, started with SMA America back in the day, went through Sonnen, another German battery company, and I've been at Tigo 2 years. Okay, and what I've found as I train our service team is that there are these common errors that installers make, or particularly on the roof, on site, or in the design. And so I know it's taboo to talk about these things, but there's this prevalent attitude that, oh, Tigo's not reliable. Oh, you don't use Tigo. And it's just, we have tens of millions of these things installed around the world. And the scuttlebutt gets out about a handful of issues. And when we go out on site, the overwhelming majority of these things are installer error. And that is a hard pill to swallow because everybody always wants to point the finger at the manufacturer. Yeah. So kind of going way off on a tangent, but let's talk about the things that you can do, particularly with our module level components, where you will have a bulletproof system. Yeah. And so when I train my guys, we are under the umbrella of recommending safe, code compliant, bulletproof systems. 3-point sermon. And so everything that we tell you falls in under one of those three things. And if you do what we tell you to do and follow our guidelines, as a matter of fact, they're not guidelines. I do not use that word. I don't use guidelines, rules of thumb, because what does that mean? Oh, well, speed limit is 55. That's just a guideline. I'm going to do 80 down this residential district, right? So I do not use those words. These are design installation criteria. These are design and installation requirements. Okay, so they use a stronger language. Okay, all right, so here we go. Number one thing that you can do to keep from calling our service line is install these things the way that we are telling you to do. So both Dino and John alluded to our competitors. Yeah, and I don't hide behind this. If you are an Enphase or SolarEdge customer and you've used those guys for years, you need to pay attention, because you do not install our product the same way that you install those two. Okay. And I know when I go on site, when there's an issue, I know when I see a SolarEdge trained person, because all of our optimizers are installed on the rail and they're all connected together. I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Okay. So 3 steps here. Number 1, connect the TS4 to the module, mount it to the module. Step 2, connect the short leads of the TS4 to the module. If you do this on the ground, you will never mess this up, ever. So this is what I recommend. Mount it to the module, connect the short leads to the module. And number 3, connect the TS4s together. Boom, there you go. That's all you got to do. Okay, 20%, and I'll just share this, 20% of all our service calls related to TS4s are this error right here. They did not install this the way that we tell you to. And in each box that we sell of these TS4s, whether it's the O that you see here, or the F, or the 2F, or the S, in every box we have a quick start guide, and it shows you 1, 2, 3 how to do it. All right, connect them together. All right, so that's the first thing. Now, we all know if you don't do these 3 steps, then you will get to step 4, which is calling our service line. And nobody wants to hit step 4. Look at this guy. I've been on the other end of that call. I don't know if you can see the video if it's choppy. Yeah, nobody wants that. So 1, 2, 3. Look at that. He's so mad he passed the phone off. So if you do steps 1, 2, and 3 in the right order, you will never have to worry about step 4. Okay, ever. All right. Bam, 20%. So in our fire safety group, in the TS4s, the F and the 2F, they use power line communication for rapid shutdown. Okay, the TS4Fs and this transmitter that you see here is only used for rapid shutdown. So if you don't care about optimization, or if you have a roof that doesn't have shading or all these weird complex roof geometries, you don't need an optimizer. Okay, I would still recommend getting monitoring on that. People spend a lot of money for these solar systems. For the life of me, I don't know why we default to the stupid metric of dollar per watt when it comes to this investment. Yeah. Oh, we'll just do rapid shutdown because that's the cheapest way. Okay, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But now you are totally blind when it comes to your system. But that's just me. That is not the sentiment of Tigo or its affiliates or its employees. That's just Greg going a little rant. But if you just want to comply with rapid shutdown and you want a cost-effective way to do that, we got you covered. So this little transmitter generates a keep alive signal. It's powered by an AC 120 volt. You will run the negative conductors of the home runs for the inverter through this core. And all that core does is take that keep alive signal and induce it onto the negative home run. And that keep alive signal runs up on the roof, touches all those TS4s. And if the TS4 sees that keep alive signal, it closes a relay and lets full module voltage come through. Easy peasy, right? So if you turn the power off using a rapid shutdown initiator by code to the transmitter here, then it stops the keep alive signal. And if the TS4s don't hear the keep alive signal, they shut off. Yeah. So we're safe, we're code compliant, no problem. Now, 90% of the F and 2F service calls that we get are because of incorrect design, which then leads to an incorrect installation. We have a help center. There was one of the links in the last presentation, the very last slide. Please, please, please go to the help center and read up on the TS4F and the 2F. We call it the fire safety group. Read up on it. This stuff is not that hard, but if you don't do things right, then you get this thing called crosstalk between the two transmitters. Like, for example, if you have 2 different inverters, then if you're using the RSS transmitter, you have to keep them separate. Otherwise, the 2 transmitters interfere with each other, and then you may have some issues. And this is what's going around in the industry right now. So to alleviate this crosstalk stuff, we came out with an RSS transmitter with pure signal technology. And so now what we can do is daisy chain 10 pure signal transmitters together. All of the keep alive signals are in perfect harmony. And so therefore you do not have to worry about this crosstalk issue when you're using the pure signal transmitters. Easy peasy. We can see we have an in terminal, we have an out terminal. All the transmitters need a 12-volt DC power, and you're just going to daisy chain these together. Out of one transmitter to the in of the other one. Bing, bang, boom, all the way. You have a leader, and he's telling the other 9 transmitters, hey, you need to sync your signal to me. And so they do. And if you turn the power off to the transmitters, they stop transmitting. TS4 is going rapid shutdown. Easy peasy, works fine, lasts a long time. Boop, power. Good to go. And if you have any questions on this, talk to our sales engineering team. We'll give you the link later. It's super easy to do. Do not be afraid of this. Now, just real quick, talk about some benefits of module level monitoring and the optimization. As soon as you put our optimizer onto a module, you give that module superpowers. Like I do a lot of webinars. I always have one of these handy. I always have one. It's right here because it's just so helpful to people to see what's going on, right? And if you have a couple dozen modules, why would you not want to know what's going on up there? That's what I don't understand. Okay, why wouldn't you want to know what's going on in your system? And here's some things. As a matter of fact, there was a question, and sorry, Eras, I answered some of those questions. It's like if somebody puts you in a room, an empty room, and all there is a big red button, and they say, don't push the red button. All you want to do is push that red button. So when I saw those questions, it was driving me crazy. So I had to answer them. But one person asked, oh, if you have shade on one module, do you lose the entire system? Or do you just lose that module? That's a great question. That brings up the old Christmas tree myth that was perpetuated years ago by our competitors. And you see this a lot online, right? Somebody will have 3 or 4 modules, and they just do a little test and they put a piece of cardboard on it and it tanks. Well, okay, sure, it's going to do that, but that is not a representative example of how these modules interact with the inverter. Okay? They don't work like that. First of all, you don't have cardboard, I hope, not laying on your directly on your array. But as we see here, there are, and before you say, oh, those trees probably grew over it, they did not. It was installed like this. The installers had to push the tree out of the way. Okay, and now this homeowner is complaining that their system is not producing. Okay, optimizers can only do so much. Any module level component, whether you're using a microinverter or somebody else's optimizer, if you think you're going to reduce the effects of shade or mitigate this nightmare, you are sadly mistaken. And our service line gets calls all the time. Oh, I'm not making enough power. And we see the module is against this part of the roof that has a hard shadow from a chimney on it. Like, dude, that's just not how these things work. They're not magic. Okay. They recover lost energy. The primary objective of our optimizer is to reduce mismatch. And I'll talk about shade because that is the #1 cause. All right. So what I love about module level monitoring is you can detect bad modules. And believe me, when I was at SMA, we knew all the arguments against module level. I helped write them. I know the arguments. I put them in my book. Okay. We know now, and you know, that modules go bad. They do. And you will never know that, or you will not know the extent to how bad they are unless you have some type of monitoring. So our monitoring is super cool. When you look at this and you bring up a system using our fleet manager, boom, anybody here on this webinar knows which 2 modules are bad. And then you can start drilling down on them to find out what's going on. So what's the benefit of that? You know exactly where to go when you're going out for a trouble call. You know exactly which modules to pull up to fix it. How How cool is that? How much is that worth to you? The average truck roll in the United States is $400. Yeah, so how would you like to reduce the time your people are on site by knowing exactly where they need to go? All right, let's
So
look
you
at
can use it for the warranty.
absolutely.
The panel manufacturer will start asking questions. How do you explain what's
How do
happening?
you know? Yep. How do you know it's my problem? Because everybody does this, right? Oh, it's not our fault. You got to talk to somebody else, right? Matter of fact, we will not do that. If you call our Tigo support team, we do not send you somewhere else. We will help you. So let's just look at an issue here. As you can see, and the different colors mean a different thing. We have a Help Center article about that. But you can see right here that module number 3 on string 4, which we call D3, is a darker color. That means its power output is less than its neighbors. All right, so you can dig in. Let's look at the voltage. Oh, look at that. The voltage is less than everybody else. So let's look at the current. Oh, look at that. His current is the same. So some of you guys out there are pros. You already know what's going on here. Yeah, you already know. Lower voltage, about 1/3 less than the other neighboring modules, but the current is still the same. What's the problem? Oh, look at that, a bad bypass diode. Oh, bypass diodes don't go bad. Yeah, they do. This is a real site. It's a real site. Now you step it up and you talk about larger systems, commercial rooftop. Yeah, that 1/3 less power from a module or a dozen modules ends up costing you money over time. So let's look at this other one. This is a huge system here, ground mount on these trackers here. An entire string is out. So if you see black, that means 0 watts. Oh man, what's going on here? I guarantee you, unless you are actively monitoring your systems, you would never know this. I know there are string level monitoring combiner boxes that you can get. Sometimes the inverters are sophisticated enough to give you a string level warning like this, sometimes, but not always. But with this one, if you're using our fleet manager, this site would pop up. It would say, hey, there is an issue here. You need to look at it. And how much is that worth? That's ridiculously beneficial. And so when we drill down on this, and this is another site that we help this customer with, when you look at it, the bad string is showing open circuit voltage. Everybody else is at VMP on those strings. And when you look at the current, it's at ISC. Okay, so of course, if the string is at open circuit voltage, it's going to be at ISC. So open circuit voltage times ISC is 0 watts. So what's the issue? Oh, look at this, a blown string fuse in the combiner box. That's it. That's all it was. And so now this installer knew exactly where to go. It took them 10 minutes, bing, 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 done, out, gone. And you're thinking, yeah, but that's commercial, Greg. Like what possible benefit could there be for residential? Huge. There's huge potential. How many of you, and I don't know what the mix is here, eras of like homeowners, installers, designers, but how many times do you have a homeowner asking you, I don't think my system is working right? Now you can show them, yes, it's working right. Stop calling us. Stop. Just enjoy your system. Yeah. So beneficial. So to wrap this up, and I know I'm talking a mile a minute, so I want to give enough time for questions. Here's my closing thoughts. Follow our installation order. Just do it. Okay. Mount it to the module. Connect the little shorties to the module. Do this part on the ground. And then when you get it up on the roof, connect the long ones to the neighboring TS4. Done. That's all you got to do. Next, I will always promote monitored systems over non-monitored. Our TS4F and 2F are great products, don't get me wrong. If you're looking for a very cost-effective solution, but I've just been with Tigo for 2 years and long enough and taken enough service calls to where I fully believe in my heart, to the fullest extent possible, that monitored systems are the way to go. And if you're an installer, you think, Greg, but my dollar per watt goes down. Screw that. Learn how to sell an optimized system and be better than your competitors. I mean, how cool is it if you just show a homeowner all this cool stuff and they'll say, yeah, but that other guy down the block is cheaper. Right, but he's not doing this. You get all this extra cool stuff. That's all you have to do. I'm not even a salesperson, and I've sold my fair share of systems talking with our sales team to customers. It's super easy. It's super easy. And lastly, RTFM, that's been my mantra forever. I was in the U.S. Navy. I was a submarine sonar tech for 20 years, and this saying came right from my military experience. RTFM, read the fun manual. You can replace the F with another word if you want, but I noticed that people who do not read our documentation, if they don't go to our website and get the quick start guides or the installation manuals, you're already strike two and you got a fastball coming at you. Yeah. So if you just read the documentation, that'll probably take care of 80% of it. And of course, if you still have questions, man, just give us a call. We will help you. Send us an email. Now, I'll end with this. 100% of the people who follow our design and installation criteria are successful 100% of the time. That's it. Questions?
You answered most of them, Greg, but I think there's like 3 new ones that popped up. Thank you for being proactive.
Man, you guys are awesome. This is a very engaging audience. That's why I always like doing the RENVU webinars. No matter what the topic is, the audience is always engaged. And as an educator, I love that. So thank you to y'all for being so engaging. So the question, if you can see if it shows up on my screen, are the optimizers required for inverter function? That is an awesome question. And the answer to that is no. Like, we had solar around for thousands of years and we never needed module level components, and the inverters work just fine. Even if you use our TS4s with our hybrid inverter, if you took the TS4s away, it would still work. Yeah. So the reason we have the optimizers is to reduce mismatch, to reduce the effects of shade, to recover lost energy. Yeah. So the optimizers will absolutely add more value to your system, but they are not required for the inverter to operate. Are different inverter SKUs required when using the whole home backup and partial ATS? Can a solution be upgraded from a partial to a whole home without replacing the inverter? Okay, so 2-part question there. Love it. So yes, there are different SKUs because we have a 200 amp ATS and we have a 50 amp ATS. So generally speaking, the 50 amp is for partial and the 200 amp is for whole home. But depending on the home, and when I go to Texas, they're pulling off of a 400 amp panel with a 200 amp breaker going into our 200 amp ATS going to a sub panel. So this is a design question, and the answer to almost every design question, okay, listen up. The answer to almost every design question in our industry is 2 words: it depends. Okay, so if you have these kinds of questions, reach out. We will be happy to help you. Can the storage be upgraded from a partial to a whole home without replacing the inverter? Of course. If you're using the 50 amp for the partial and you want to do a bigger sub panel, then you may have to upgrade to the 200 amp. So my advice to you is, if you think at any time the homeowners will need more power or use more power, which is 98.5% of the time, then install the 200 amp ATS so that you already have the luxury of being able to come in with a minor upgrade. Okay. Do we offer a 2000 volt? No, we do not. Is it being worked on? I don't know. Probably, yeah, I don't want to speculate. that's a product question. Ryan, I can definitely, my boss is in charge of product, so I can definitely get the answer to that. 2,000 volts. That's getting up there, man. That's utility scale, freaking beefy. Like I remember when we went to 1,000 volts with those big central inverters. Everybody's like, oh man, 1,000 volts, woo! And then we went to 1,500, 2,000. Yeah. So I know that we will, of course, be compatible with that. We have to. Right? I just don't know the time frame. Okay. Let's see. Ron, not a question. That's cool. My supplier did not recommend the AOs. Not worth it. The reason I go with them is just what you said. I always know what's going on. Ronald, if I had a hat, I would throw it to you right now. And the reason your supplier did not recommend the AOs is probably because they're ignorant and they don't understand the value of it, right? And ignorance isn't bad. Like we're all ignorant on some things, right? But that's what knowledge is for. And that's what information is for. And we can cure that. But I'm so glad that you do see the value of the O with the optimizers and module level monitoring. Now, you may be thinking, well, Greg, you're talking about all this module level monitoring stuff, but then you said earlier that if your roof doesn't have shade, then you don't need the O. So what's going on? Okay, well, we have another product called the TS4A-S. The S does rapid shutdown and it does module level monitoring. It does not do optimization. And so you can use the O's on part of an array, let's say on the corner like my house, where it's being shaded by my neighbor's tree. So maybe 3 or 4 modules at the end of the solar day are being shaded. Well, those other 8, 9 modules, I could use a TS4S on because there's no shade on those modules. And now I get the full benefit of module level monitoring. I get shade reduction on the modules from the O's, but then the S also gives me module level monitoring on the other part of the array. Win-win, good to go. What else?
I want to go over some of the questions answered before.
Yes. And again, I'm sorry, I don't know
No worries, no worries.
if they are able to see that. So this first one, when we install your optimizer and shade hits a panel, they're modules, but whatever. I won't go on that rant. Does the system still operate? Yes, of course. That's what it's there for. This is a really good one. George asked, basically, there are connector compatibility issues in our industry. Yes, absolutely. David Brearley, who was the editor of Solar Pro magazine, wrote an incredibly well-written article about connector intermatability. It's a very long word for that, but it is an issue. Okay, and the Tigo TS4s use, right there, we use the Staubli MC4 connector. Okay, so if your module manufacturer of choice does not use MC4s, you can't just click them together. Okay, you can't do that. Just because they click doesn't mean they're compatible. And you have to watch out with all these cheap Chinese knockoffs that are hitting the market, because those will cause fires. So the code says the connectors have to be tested and listed together. That's the code. So you're doing it right, George. You're buying a whip, maybe from Shoals or somebody else that makes a quality product that's UL listed and tested. And for now, that's just what we have to do. Until we can get all the module manufacturers to use one type of connector, we're always going to have this issue. And that's always been a consistent issue with me, is that the module manufacturers, they don't have to do anything, right? They don't have to do anything in our industry for safety, right? Whose job is it to detect arc faults? The inverter. Whose job is it to detect ground faults? And all these, it's always the inverter, never the module manufacturer, right? They don't have to comply with rapid shutdown. The inverter has to take care of that, right? So I don't know what the right answer, well, I know what the right answer is, but that's Greg's perfect world. All the manufacturers use a quality connector, and then we wouldn't have to worry about these. But for now, we got to use the whips. And so, George, you're on a roll. Can the O detect arc faults? We will get over voltage and over current faults on the portal, but we don't detect arcs. So we have no influence on that inside the array. That is still the job of the inverter. And I think that was answered. Are EI inverters AC and DC side protection? Do they have? Well, of course. Of course. Every inverter that's UL listed has AC and DC side protection against what do you call it? Power spikes, things like that. All right. But and I'll just touch on this. And here I'm just looking at my crystal ball because I've got this question a lot over the last 15 years. If you're talking about DC side protection, as in lightning protection, then no, nobody does. Okay. That is a separate system that you have to install. Okay. So if you're worried about the inverters getting struck by lightning, then you need to put a lightning arrestor on the DC circuit, or even better, get a lightning protection system on the house. Max parallel connection of the batteries. So we have two battery terminals inside the EI inverter. So we can do 2 strings in parallel. Each string can have 2 batteries. So you can have 20 kilowatt hours in each string for a total of 40. And I think we're
Done
we did it.
as usual. Yeah. Thanks a lot, guys. As usual, webinars with Tigo is always fun. We like having you too, Greg, again. And thanks, Dino and John. Was fascinating. Learned a lot. Happy to answer any questions that anybody have and didn't manage to ask here. Send us an email to info@renvu.com. As I mentioned, this webinar is being recorded. We will add it to our YouTube channel, and we will follow up with a follow-up email with some offers on Tigo optimizers and ESS. Thanks a lot. Have a good week, everybody. See you soon.
Thanks,
See ya.
everyone.
Thank you.